Welcome to the Steel Guys. It's 10 o'clock on the 4th of November, the year of 2025. We're here to talk about the news from the past week in the supply chain of metals. We'll be live broadcasting on the YouTube and our YouTube channel called The Steel Guys, as well as our LinkedIn page. And there's also a Zoom. If you did happen to get the Zoom meeting link, we'll be broadcasting there as well. So we'll also be monitoring the chats on all three of those platforms. So with that, I'm going to bring in Scott Glenn, the other Steel Guy, and say hello.
Good morning to everyone. Hope you all are doing well and looking forward to good conversation here on the supply chain of metals.
Amen to that. So today's the 4th of, so it'll be late in August, or October, after a couple of weeks of talking about stuff. I think the one thing we missed last week, if I remember correctly, was a little bit of talk about tariffs, and I don't see anything in our prep notes either that discusses tariffs again. So that the tariff talk is settling down. I don't know about the actual tariffs themselves. You know, it seems to be there's still a few out there, a few things happening.
Is tariff the new normal kind of thing? It kind of seems that, like you say, it's not on the headlines these days, so it's not a whole lot of change, I guess.
You're not seeing those deals that we used to see. So anyway, what we got going on this week, I'm going to kind of, our prep notes here, to kind of go over our key developments that have happened in the past week here that we've identified, and then we'll talk about some of the implications of those key developments. So I'll just kind of quickly read the key developments, then we'll get into the implications, and during that implications, we kind of will talk to the world out there, look at watching the chats, seeing what we have going on, if there's any in each topic, and then if we do run in and still have a little bit of time left, we can kind of get some questions that surround the developments and the implications, and kind of facilitate the discussion. We always say
one thing I would like to interject there, Jim, like you said, you know, if somebody along the way has some comments or questions about a specific topic that we're going over, feel free to send us a chat, and we can begin that conversation, because that's what we're here to do, is to facilitate the conversation. So we'd love to hear from you.
And for that matter, it doesn't have to be a topic that we're discussing, just anything in the supply chain of metals. If you'd like to throw it out to the audience, that's what we're here to. So even if it's not a topic that we haven't brought up, go ahead and throw it out there, and we'll present it to the audience. We might wait till find the right appropriate time, but just put it in the chat, and we'll figure it out from there.
Right.
So there's about 5 good key developments, and one of the starting off that point was the copper. Copper has hit a record high, which was driven by supply chain disruptions at major mines, which is also an aging infrastructure and tight global availability. So there's disruptions at the mine. Did that happen a couple of weeks ago? Is that what, if I remember correctly, wasn't it that mine a couple of weeks ago that something happened?
There was a mudslide of some sort. I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago that started the conversation about the copper. I remember that the particular mine that was that had the incident was about a 4% global 4% of the supply of the global global supply. And at that time I was kind of saying, well, it doesn't seem like it would make that big of a difference, but it still is, I suppose, if that's the one they're referring to.
It's at major mines, 4% of the capacity. As we talked about, that's the balance, even like in oil. We talked about that a couple weeks ago too. The 4% is a pretty good number, because when you talk about bringing out of the ground, out of the oil, you take 100 million barrels a day out, and the usage is about 100 million barrels. So if you fall 4% down, you're going to fall 4 million barrels short, and which is going to drive up the price.
Seems like a small number, but it's a very relative number, obviously. It's significant.
Yes, but and again, it would all depend. I mean, if you're bringing out 150%, 4% is not going to matter a whole lot. But if you're bringing out, right about what you're using, then So
Makes
again,
a
I would
difference.
assume most people would probably try to keep it pretty close to that and have a little bit of inventory. So again, that supply chain, keeps them in the supply chain as it goes
Right.
forward.
Right, and I
So
think that indications are that the supply is tight. To your point, if supply is tight, 4% is going to make a significant difference in
yeah, I know what the
the supply.
inventories. I imagine the inventories are right there. Probably starting to drop a little bit, but
I know we kind
maybe
of jokingly said this when we started talking about it a couple of weeks ago. This is like, well, let's just everybody throw in your pennies and we can solve that real quick.
Morning, Victor. How are you out there? IAH. Nice weather we're having the last couple of days here. Finally, huh? Anyway, welcome to you as well. Second point here is the iron ore prices slipped. Again, we've been talking about that iron ore balance of the iron ore and what their production. But the iron ore prices slipped as China's steel output softened again, and port inventories rose, suggesting weakening fundamentals despite the earlier restocking hopes. So that's probably not really great news that's probably more of the carbon market there. But
Yeah,
the third point
makes
here
more
is,
makes a little bit more validity to the EAFs out there. Don't have to worry about the iron ore, but
but again, if it's the whole entire output anyway.
yeah.
Yeah. That's why you're at IAH. Okay, Victor. Well, be safe out there. You having delays in your any air traffic delays due to the TSA or the ATC?
Yeah, that's a mess out there. I hope you're not stuck in a big delay, Victor.
So the Gardeau has major steelmakers said U.S. steel demand should hold firm in Q4, supported by data. So Victor, you said demand is definitely down. So I don't know. There's little data center construction and solar project activity seem to support some of that. But again, I don't know if that's specialty steel or not. Is that more of a? I don't know. Yeah, good.
Yeah, and I think last week we started talking too about some of the announcements. I know NLMK announced a $50 a ton increase due to increased demand and increased order levels.
Yeah, is that
Something
on the
I
back
read.
on the backs of Nucor
Well, I think
from
Nucor
last
is on the
week?
backs of theirs, but yeah, there is a little bit of uptick in pricing. Now, whether it holds or not, a lot of times in past situations like this, the mills try and raise the price just to kind of stop it from going the other direction. But I don't know. We haven't seen the demand really pick up significantly, but I think it's hopefully we've hit the bottom like we talked about last week.
Yeah, and Victor just tossed in there the specialty steels and valves and fittings are slowing down. Those are the. I don't know what their backlogs and lead times are. That's a big point for the supply chain there. So let's see. We saw also the fourth point here is the base metals, copper and aluminum and zinc, are rallying globally, backed by supply constraints, strong demand in energy and EV sectors, and geopolitical tensions. Again, none of those are good factors. It's not necessarily a demand-driven situation out there, which is what we'd like to see, is the demand increasing rather than supply constraints and geopolitical tensions. Those two things are not quite.
No, that's not real helpful.
Yeah, and Victor, just to your point, exactly. If the backlogs aren't extending, if it's not a demand-driven backlog, then it's all the other stuff's just manipulation, investor manipulation, or so that yes, demand-driven. Again, are we using it, or we're just throwing in other things?
Yeah, lead times haven't pushed out a whole lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know in the EV sector, it's a point here. The EV sectors, they say strong demand in the energy and EV sectors, but I don't know, what was it, Ford? Just some of these car manufacturers are actually disengaging their production on some of the EV vehicles.
Oh, and EVs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Ford just scrap all theirs or something?
I didn't see that. I don't know.
That was a week or two ago, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But memory, that's one of those things. And the fifth point here is coke, which has been used in the Ford and GM to reduce their EV quantities. Yeah, I thought they might have suspended production on those too. They're not telling the truth there, huh? Again, market manipulation.
I wonder if that's a demand-driven decision or just an outlook for the EV market. I don't know.
Well, Victor just posted in there too that the Ford had lost $7 billion on EVs. So that they are exiting. So that's I agree. I thought they had stopped their production or going to stop their production. So they're getting out of it completely. So I guess it leaves that to the Teslas and Rivans or whatever that company is.
You mean it's not a good thing to keep making a product that you're losing a bunch of money on? What a concept, huh?
Cut your losses. Cut your losses at $7 billion and go on. Whew. Well, that's nothing these days. That's nothing.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Let me just sell some stocks real quick.
The billion and the $1 trillion seems to be like pretty common numbers these days.
So as Victor says there, when the government stopped supporting it with subsidies, then of course that's when the demand evaporated. It made it, which is it's another point there for subsidies and government intervention and stuff like that. When does it ever work real well?
Yeah.
I guess we did get to the moon with the government, but. So we have Velcro because of that. Right?
Is that where Velcro was invented? Going to the moon?
Yeah, NASA, that and Tang, right?
Oh, well, Tang, I remember that one. But it's the government's an interesting thing. This is certainly a side note, but it'll be interesting in the United States today. Today's election day. And what happens in New York is going to be interesting to see, whatever your viewpoint is on that. But we'll see how what people think about the government. But anyway, back to our point.
Yeah, back to what? While you're on that point, if you're out there, if you haven't voted already, go out and vote. Do your civic duty.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
So the fifth point here is we have coke, which is used in the blast furnaces, remains high. It remains tight. Producers are initiating a, quote, third round of price increases amid low inventories and restocking by mills. So again, there's that, why if demand is down, would coke be, because their inventories, so maybe they're just not buying. So, which makes now they're starting to buy, which now they're starting to say, okay, well that's where the fluctuation in that market up and down. People, ought to be able to see that, because if you're going to be buying and just bringing your inventories back to the levels that they should be. Again, what it should be, depending on how much you're producing.
Should be based on a lot of factors.
Yeah, and again, that's what we've always talked about. Having that crystal ball to see what demand is in the future, especially in a longer supply chain item. Where the time it takes a little while to get the material out of the ground.
Yeah, and it's not just evaluating the U.S. marketplace either these days. It's as we've talked about in the past. It's the world market that we live in. A lot of factors come into play throughout the whole world.
Yeah. So now we're up to the point. Those are the points we've seen in the last week. Now we get into the implications of all that. The elevated copper signals a strategic risk. Supply shocks may ripple into the downstream sectors. EVs, electrification, infrastructure. All right. The iron ore pullback suggests the steel input prices may face downward pressure unless end user demand revives. This is interesting how this news comes out and puts this topic together. Here we are, we're talking about a price increase, but yet they're talking about downward pressure on the prices. And I think I've seen that a lot over the years too, where a mill will kind of preemptively, if it's demand softening, they'll even go to a little price increase just to stave off the decrease. And then they might go back to the original price rather than taking it down from, they'll take it down from a higher, they'll take it downward back 50 instead of just taking 10 or 15 off of the current number. So,
or go up 50 and come back 30.
Yeah, instead of going down 30 to begin with. Yeah. Try to net it out or slow the decrease down if they can. But again,
that goes back to we need to see a real increase in the supplies. I mean, the demand side. When we see a valid increase in the demand side, then a lot of those increases will be justified, and the market will tell where it's going to land.
Yeah, Dad used to always say, he said, cheap prices never created demand.
That's correct. A low price did not, create an order. Same thing. Yep.
And you can get an order based on low prices sometimes, but then people have to do
something with
it. And it doesn't create the demand. They got to have that demand to begin with.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so let's see here. U.S. demand signals reflect selective strength. Important for service centers and distributors to monitor.
Sure.
Yeah, so got to watch that relative strength. Kind of keep hearing that, but let's see how that goes. I don't know how to project that confidence, the market confidence and the strength of, again, what's the projected spending in a lot of these things. I know I haven't looked at the info resources lately, IIR.
I haven't seen anything on that in a while either.
They do a good job of plant construction, which goes back to Victor, your flanges and the fittings and valves, that process industry. They do a pretty good job of monitoring the spending, construction spending in those markets. So that's good there. So, tightness across multiple base metals reinforces the theme of green transition metals being in focus, opportunity and risk. So, what base metals is that? The copper and the
aluminum, zinc, kind of stuff. Yeah,
those base metals. Yeah, we need certainty projection from the USG. Yeah, it's always better if they get some certainty in the marketplaces. That certainly helps. I did see. Speaking of certainty and uncertainty, the stock market, yesterday or whatever, Warren Buffett sold $6.1 billion, I think, in stocks. And the question I saw that the people writing about that says, well, is that due to is his certainty or uncertainty in the market? Is he ready to exit the equities markets for a little while? So, he's transitioning too. That company is transitioning, leadership. He's kind of slowing down and getting out and transitioning. So I don't know if that's part of that or if it's part of maybe him seeing something that we all are kind of talking about here, that it's kind of slowing down a little bit.
Right.
Get out of it.
Yeah.
Sell high, buy low.
Well, the government shutdown is going to be a whole nother factor as well. The stock market continuing to go up with the government shutdown approaching the longest shutdown in history. If it hasn't passed it, I don't know. I know it's approaching it. If there's a lot of uncertainty there, who's gonna break first? Seems like both sides are holding pretty steady on their stance, but somehow someone's got to give. You can't keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree with Victor that I think Buffett is selling high, and he's going to stocks will be not cheap, but so maybe you can certainly find some deals out there as things are changing.
Opportunities, yeah, what goes up must come down. I suppose that's a common phrase out there, and those guys have made that kind of money kind of watching this kind of stuff. So I guess their anticipation is it's not going to keep going up. So take advantage of the market where it's at right now. And if there's an adjustment, it drops back down, then they put that $6 billion back in, make another $2.
I agree. Victor just said, keep it shut down. Yeah, government's most effective when it's not working. Yeah, when it's shut down. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that too. I was thinking about that the other day too. Is there's a lot of these people that were, and I understand there is certain valid people that need assistance, but I think there's a lot of people that probably are taking advantage of the system and they don't really need it. So anyway, the U.S. people are gonna step up to the plate and help out where needed. I mean, I've seen a lot of. Well, we're kind of getting off on a different tangent here. We'll see. I agree. The government. Well, let's see how it shakes out.
Yeah, I was watching an interview with Elon Musk talking about his days at Doge and the ongoing efforts they have. But he was kind of implying that the fraud and the waste in the Social Security system. He was talking about how and I remember seeing this when he was in there, that there's people that are 200 years old and people that haven't been born yet or whatever, and there's Social Security numbers out there, and apparently it's not, they might not be receiving a Social Security payment, but that number is all the other benefits that go around that. That's why the Democrats shouldn't say that, because I'm not you don't want to get political here, but there's a side of the aisle that once didn't really want to go attack those old numbers, and clean it up, because they said, well, we're not making payments to those people. And that's true. They weren't making a Social Security payment to those people, but the EBTs and all the other benefits that the Social Security number's tied to, it wasn't just a Social Security number. So yeah, but he was indicating hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud, waste and abuse there. Yeah,
well, I mean, we've heard that for years and years and years, the corruption and the fraud and everything in big business and government and all that kind of stuff. It's just gotten out of control, and it's been exposed, and hopefully there are going to be some changes.
Yeah, do you remember what the price increase you just discussed a second ago? What did they attribute the price increase to? Was it demand side, or was it their costs? Did they say?
I'll just tell you, it's NLMK announced Friday, due to, improving demand, increased overall, increased order placement.
Okay.
And existing. And extending lead times. Sorry, I can't read very well.
That's all right. So that's that part of that, because this next point, our fifth point there, and the implications was the raw material cost inflation for coke and copper. They may squeeze margins. So the mills and service centers, the costs are going up, is what they're attributing that to, and that's why I was wondering more of.
This particular announcement doesn't mention anything about raw material costs or energy costs or anything like that. It's strictly demand and order input and lead times. And that's
I agree. That's one of the things. There's a big, the Victor came in with the need to start with interest rates, reducing the interest rates a little bit, and I know that's the big. At the federal level there, the Fed and the chairman of the Fed and the president going back and forth, and the president saying, reduce the rates, and they've come down a little bit, but they, still need to come down more. And I know the housing market, it's interesting. I thought the housing market, I heard that somebody just took out a loan, a 30-year mortgage with 3% down and got a 3.99% rate.
I have not heard of the rates that low.
It's, I don't know if it was bought down or how they did that, but the builder must have bought down the rates somewhat but again, it was, those are the numbers, 3% down. I didn't even think you could get a house for 3% down. I thought you had to have a minimum of 10. But
first-time buyers, they offer some kind of special deals too. But I don't know If that's an individual or a large bank that's offering a 3.99 30-year fixed loan, or I wonder maybe that's a variable loan. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was fixed, but it could have been. I didn't. Maybe I didn't get all the rest of the details in that. But
Yeah,
again, my point there is bringing the rate down. So if they are starting to come down in those selective areas, again, I don't know the demand for all these things like housing. I'm not sure. It still seems to be pretty strong. Maybe moderate, I should say, not strong, but more moderate.
right.
Because it's not strong like it has been, but. So that kind of covers our implications for here. I don't know. Do you want to go into some of the questions here, or I think we covered most of the questions, the answers to the questions that we were kind of asking here. So, do you have any other points that are out there that need to be made or can be made?
No, I really don't. I don't have anything specifically. I think we covered everything there.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to watch the marketplace, and see what's going on.
See out there. And so next week we're doing, again, Tuesday, 10 o'clock. Got that scheduled for Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. For you older folks out there.
Yeah. You get that reference? Yeah. Gosh.
Well, Victor, I hope you're surviving the IAH visit. My wife and I just got back from a trip, and we got in right before the mess out there, fortunately. So, what a mess that's been over the past couple of days. I think they're getting it straightened out from what I've heard, but it'll all settle down somehow.
Yeah, as long as the TSA shows up and they get through the lines. And air traffic controllers continue to show up.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, with that, let's wrap it up. Jim Glenn at steelrep.com or Scott Glenn at steelrep.com is our email addresses. Love to hear from you. The Steel Guys, the YouTube channel. LinkedIn, my LinkedIn is Jim Glenn, III. And for Sunbelt Steel, and Scott's Sunbelt Steel as well, Scott Glenn. And just if you're not connected with us already, please feel free to send us an invite, and love to connect with you. And love to see you next week. And with that, is there anything else you'd like to add, Scott?
Our community, Steel Guys at Steel Rep, or what is it, steelguys.steelrep.com.
There you go.
Yep. Love to, if you have an interest in communicating with like-minded people, similar conversations as we're having right now, take a look at our community there, and we'd love to have you hop on there and have some of these conversations there as well.
Yeah, and do keep an eye out. We're going to be having a special event here coming up for the A312 pipe mill, which we talked about a little bit last week and week before, a new sponsor we have. And we got a new mill being built, and import mill that's going to be bringing in, not Asian milk. It's don't go with the location quite yet, but it'd be a trade-free, a trade-friendly zone that'll be coming in from with short lead times. And so if you'd like to learn more about that and get on our email list, we're going to be putting out a little sign up for our email list. We'll put it on our LinkedIn and do a post on that. So if you'd like information on that as the mill gets built, sign up for that, and we'll send you a copy of the updates. Probably going to do bi-weekly updates with that. Yeah. So on that note, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much, and safe travels, Victor, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.